My esteemed colleagues, ministers, governors, distinguished delegates, and representatives of international organizations. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the third G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting, and the last one meeting to be held in South Africa under the South African presidency. We gather here in a beautiful province of KwaZulu-Natal, a region rich in natural splendor and cultural heritage, and I believe a fitting setting to reflect on both the complexity and the promise of our shared global agenda. I suspect if you will see the heritage during dinner, I suspect we're having a different style of dance than we would have seen in Cape Town, showing a different kind of culture. This province has the distinct honor and privilege to have been the home of Mahatma Gandhi for a large part of his stay in South Africa that spanned 21 years, and namely from 1893 to 1914. Gandhi had a profound and multifaceted impact on India and South Africa, and many drew inspiration from his across the globe, including Nelson Mandela in his quest to lead South Africa to independence. As leaders, there's a great deal that, as a collective, we can learn from both Gandhi and Mandela. We have often been revered as the fathers of their nation as we reflect on both the complexity and the promise of our shared global agenda. Let me extend our deepest appreciation to all delegates, especially those who have traveled from afar, for your continued commitment to this important global forum. I would also like to thank our international partners for their sustained engagement and valuable technical support throughout the deliberations. Colleagues, we meet at a time of a fragile global economic growth, while inflation is gradually moderating and financial conditions have started to stabilize in some regions. Uncertainty continues to weigh heavily on global growth prospects. Rising trade barriers, persistent global imbalances, and new geopolitical risks are significant concerns. Many developing countries, especially in Africa, remain burdened by high and rising debt vulnerabilities, constrained fiscal space, and high cost of capital that limits their ability to invest in their people and their futures. Technological shifts, especially in the artificial intelligence and digital finance, offer tremendous potential, but also demand robust governance and coordinated action to harness the opportunities, mitigate the risks such as job displacement, and bridge digital divide towards inclusive growth. At the same time, climate-related shocks and extreme weather events are increasing in frequency and severity worldwide, impacting lives, livelihoods, and macroeconomic stability. The cumulative impact of these cascading challenges is pushing the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 further out of reach. Developing countries face a staggering financing cap of 4 trillion every year. The message from the Forum for Fourth Financing for Development Conference in Spain was unequivocal. We must act decisively, choose cooperation over fragmentation, unity over division, and action over inertia before the window to deliver on our shared commitment closes. This message resonates well with the following observation from Gandhi, and I quote, "The difference between what we do and what we are capable of doing would suffice to solve most of our world's problems," close quote. In this regard, South Africa is inspired by the leadership of Spain and the United Nations in charting and navigating a successful FFT4 conference which contributes towards addressing addressing the SDG finance gap, an issue which is critical for Africa, low-income countries in other regions, and for small developing states, including small island states. In the face of these complex challenges, the G20 must remain a source of strategic global leadership, cooperation, and action. We must extend our efforts if we are to reach our true potential as a collective, to enable us to deal decisively with economic, environmental, developmental, and social challenges that plague especially Africa, low-income countries in other regions, and small developing states. Colleagues, we have a critical role to play in revitalizing and strengthening multilateralism by fostering inclusive dialogue, reinforcing rule-based cooperation, and driving collective action in global challenges that no country can solve alone. We have a substantial agenda ahead of us. Over the next 2 days, we'll engage in a robust and frank discussion on global macroeconomic developments and risk. We'll also take time to focus on the real economy that will provide a platform for concrete, action-oriented dialogue on how we can better support emerging and developing economies. Today, we'll consider pragmatic action to reform the international financial architecture, how to scale up the mobilization of infrastructure finance, as well as to strengthen international taxation. Tomorrow, we'll discuss the impediments to development and growth in Africa, with a specific focus on macroeconomic vulnerabilities, weak institutions, poor infrastructure, and high cost of capital. There will also be a discussion on the mobilization of sustainable finance, financial sector issues, and financial inclusion. Let us approach these discussions with open minds, collective purpose, and a determination to deliver progress. The need for bold, cooperative leadership has never been greater. I thank you, and I look forward to a productive and forward-looking set of discussions over the next 2 days. Thank you. Over to you, Governor.
Thank you very much, Minister. Good morning, ministers and fellow governors. Let me also extend my welcome to our penultimate meeting as finance ministers. Global growth forecasts have been revised lower, and risks to the outlook are tilted to the downside. While inflation has broadly eased across countries, inflation remains higher than desired and persistent. Central banks have to skillfully navigate what uncertainty means for both their price and financial stability mandates. I'm hopeful that our discussions here today will shed more light on our challenges. These developments are unfolding against a backdrop of elevated debt and emerging risks to financial stability. According to the OECD, the world has already shifted to a new debt paradigm, with governments and companies borrowing around $10 trillion more per year than in the pre-COVID period. At the same time, the Bank for International Settlements analysis shows that credit growth is now driven more by lending to governments than to private sector, reflecting persistently high deficits and fiscal pressures. This evolving landscape raises the stakes on the interaction between fiscal and monetary policy, especially in avoiding fiscal dominance and maintaining financial stability. With fiscal space constrained and growth weak, our fiscal authorities will face challenges in rebuilding much-needed fiscal buffers in many countries. Fiscal risks continue to drive up long-term yields and debt service costs. Preserving macroeconomic stability while supporting inclusive and sustainable growth, therefore, remains crucial. Climate-related risks are also increasingly shaping fiscal positions and threatening financial stability. As such, adaptation and mitigation are no longer esoteric environmental concerns. They are economic imperatives. The challenge ahead will be to future fit our financial, fiscal, and economic policy frameworks by embedding appropriate responses to climate risks. Artificial intelligence also represents a significant turning point in the global economic landscape. We have, as such, given this topic a priority during these meetings. Governors have just come out of a very insightful side event on the implications of AI for productivity and labor markets. What is clear is that if harnessed effectively, AI has the potential to revive productivity growth and improve living standards. However, as policymakers, our challenge is not simply to catch up, but to ensure that this shift does not deepen inequality or destabilize already fragile labor markets. Getting the balance right between innovation and inclusion will be one of the defining policy imperatives of our times. For emerging markets and developing economies, the stakes are especially high. In Africa, for instance, the working age population is expanding rapidly, and according to the African Development Bank, the continent could potentially unlock up to $1 trillion in productivity gains by 2035, but only if we close critical gaps in data, digital infrastructure, skills, and capital access. Let me conclude by reiterating that as the G20, we carry a unique responsibility to shape a global recovery that is not only resilient, but also inclusive and forward-looking. This means deepening policy coordination, advancing structural reforms, investing in economies to adapt, to compete, and to thrive in a rapidly evolving global landscape. It also means ensuring that the gains of technological progress are broadly shared and to the benefit of all. The choices we make now, during these times of heightened uncertainty, will shape the future of global economic cooperation. I look forward to a rich discussion. For now, we have got guests who have enjoyed very much our side events this morning, and they have so much enjoyed the opening remarks that we have had, and we will now ask you to take leave of us.
Zakis, take your people.
általában jobban közelebb vagy.
Elmenjek a két csónak között? Ő is ott menjek a két.
De itt maradhatok mellettünk csak, abban távolságban.